Yo, what's up guys, John Boogle here. Today we got the Crazed Bird guide. Now of course I did make a guide for this way back before, but of course that guide was with limited gacha units, and of course that means the level requirements were much higher, but this time we're gonna hop in with the level 25 units or around that, and we're gonna show how you can beat this pretty easily. It is a very big joke. The old guide still works if you do want to use that, but of course many people still don't understand that it is very incorrect to follow a guide to like a 1-to-1 ratio, because every account is different and sometimes you might have better units, sometimes you might have different levels, and following it to a 1-to-1 ratio just creates a whole bunch of problems. So you're supposed to compromise. As always, it's a guide. It's not something you're strictly supposed to follow. It is something that's supposed to put you in the correct direction. Now with that being said, let's move on into this guide. So of course you can do this with level 25 units. It may be possible with level 20 units, but you might need some extra help, like some extra gacha units, or maybe a help with an Uber or something like that. But the base of the lineup here is, of course, make sure you have at least 3 meat shields or stallers. If you have Crazed Wall or Crazed Tank, you can just use that alone. That is enough alone in this level as the one and only staller. Then you can get even more creative with more space by adding cat combos and such. But for now, we're gonna stay basic, and of course, that is 3 meat shields or stallers. Now, of course, Crazed Bird is very easy to bully here because, of course, Crazed Bird has more than one trait and it is floating. So we can abuse our floating units here. And this is really the core of the lineup. So Sadako and Butterfly, it is pretty much the manic flying strategy but used on Crazed Bird. So it just becomes very, very easy and fast. You can add Hacker into your lineup if you have it and if you want to, because of course it will compensate for the lower levels you might have. And of course we have our anti-red units here as well, and our main one is Swordsmaster, which is a very good unit to burst down red boar in this stage. Of course, if you have much higher levels, you can use anti-red crowd control units, but not the ones that knock back, because that will knock back a boar into bird's range, meaning all your cats move up and get killed. So units that weaken or slow or freeze red enemies are very nice here for the red boar, or you can just go straight burst damage DPS like Swordsman, or you can even bring Sushi or Bath Cat. The possibilities are really endless. You can bring an anti-red Uber if you do have it, of course. But the baseline here is if you have lower level units, you're gonna need to bring more. So we have Crazed Whale and Swordsman. If you bring one, you might struggle unless you have other units to compensate, like Paris. Paris is only used as a cat to get set up in the beginning here. I mean, you can use it to kill the reindeers in the stage, but we have Bahamut for that, and of course that's using the manic flying strategy, using Bahamut to just wipe out all of the reindeers and push with an open window. So Paris is not even needed here, it is just some extra help because of course we do have some lower levels, though bringing 2 anti-red units should be enough, and of course the main 2 anti-floatings. And Crazed Whale can tank a hit from Crazed Bird, and it does pretty well against Red Boar as well, so that's why we're bringing Crazed Whale the GOAT. But other than that, you should be fine. Once again, it is pretty possible to level 20 units, but you'll need to bring extra, so keep that in mind. Whatever that means for you, bringing an extra Uber or an extra anti-red unit if you're struggling with the boar. Maybe some extra anti-floating units like Kai or Ray to just destroy Crazed Bird. Maybe bringing Hacker for the reindeers, and of course Crazed Bird too. In short, if you have level 20 units, you're gonna have to compromise, so keep that in mind. But if you have level 25 units, this should work out very well. Your 2 main anti-floatings, of course, against Crazed Bird. Don't use useless anti-floating units that aren't even able to reach Crazed Bird. So Sadako and Butterfly is really the only 2 here, though if you do have some true forms, you can pull off some cheese with some other anti-floating units. Then of course your 2 main anti-red units, we are using Swordsman and Crazed Whale. You can use anything else, you can use Thor and Bath, you can use Roe and Swordsman. Doesn't really matter, just make sure you have 2 main ones. Then the 3 stallers, and of course Bahamut for the reindeers. Paris is just extra help, it is not needed at all. But yeah, let's move into the strategy. Now, if you are struggling, you can use the help of power-ups, and you could bring Sniper Cat power-up or even Rich Cat for the beginning to just burst down Crazed Bird and maybe even kill it in the beginning. But if you know the strategy, I'm pretty sure you'll be fine without power-ups because you'll know what to do and when to do it. Now, the beginning is absolutely the most important part. What makes this level so difficult for people is it's not a base hit stage. Crazed Bird is out immediately, and if you don't start moving forward, you're gonna lose a lot of ground. Well, maybe not a lot, but you'll lose some valuable ground. So in the beginning, what you want to do is get as much burst damage as possible. Once again, at level 20 units, this is very important, but even at level 25 units, you want to get as much damage as possible, because we are going to kill Crazed Birds in one Rain D cycle. Now, if you have high level units, you can possibly kill Crazed Bird in the initial push here. Now, when the initial Rain D comes out, don't stress too much, you can still keep pushing forward, but when the second one comes out, that's when you want to ease off a bit and start to lure them. Keep in mind, this is also the beginning of the Rain D cycle, so if you do not kill Crazed Bird in the first Rain D cycle, we'll see that in a bit, you have to remember the Rain D cycle so you have Bahamut ready every time it is there. That is probably the thing most people get confused about in this level is the Rain D cycles, because if you don't handle them correctly, you will have like no opportunities to push Crazed Bird and get some extra damage. So if you save Bahamut for all of the Rain D cycles and the correct ones, you can wipe out all of the Rain Ds and then you'll have a clear path to just Crazed Bird and sending out your swimmers, Crazed Whales, and whatever else to just burst the hell out of Crazed Bird. So it's very different from the original video with the Crazed Bird chip damage strategy. This time we're using a more Crazed Bird burst down strategy. Of course, using the manic flying strategy, very effective in this stage. So once the second Rain D comes out here, of course, you want to lure them to the base and wipe them out with Crazed Bahamut. Now, this is where Paris can really screw things over, so I recommend not to use any other units here other than Crazed Bahamut and your stallers, because Paris can potentially knock back the Rain D and that will make Crazed Bahamut miss, which is very huge, and that will cost a lot of time. So yeah, absolutely do not use any other attacker with Crazed Bahamut here unless you are really in trouble. Like in this run, I thought the Rain Ds were gonna hit the base, so I panicked and spawned Paris out, but I didn't even need it, and look at that. Crazed Bahamut is missing hits there, and Crazed Bird is slowly moving up. We're losing lots of time here, and that is very important because of course, we have to keep track of the Rain D cycles. Now, of course, Paris is dead here, so we're able to make a nice recovery, and of course we have the third Rain D coming in. That is the start of the cycle, and of course there's Boar. So what you want to do here is of course lure out the Boar. It's the same thing as before. Don't fight the Boar inside of a Crazed Bird's range. That is just unnecessary and it wastes a lot of time. Your units get killed. So just bring the Boar out a little bit from Crazed Bird's range, and that's where you can handle the red Boar. Of course, you're bound to get the damage knockback, so that's unfortunate, but bringing units that knock back red enemies will hurt a lot here, so make sure you do not have any of those. Now, the last Rain D for the first cycle should be showing up anytime soon, so what you want to do is, of course, burst down the red Boar as quick as you can. With the help of Bahamut and your anti-red units, you should be able to do it pretty fast. Then, of course, you have a clear path here until the end of the first Rain D cycle, and that is very important. And if you did heavy amounts of damage in the beginning of the level, then this is where you'll probably kill Crazed Bird. But if not, then it might take one more cycle. But of course, at the end of the cycle here, we have this one Rain D left. It is just one, so you can still just keep pushing hard, and when it stacks up to 2, that is when you reset. But of course, since we were able to properly push in the beginning and get a nice stack, we were able to kill Crazed Bird in one Rain D cycle, and that is pretty much all you need with the power of Sadako and Butterfly. And bam, that is how you get Crazed Bird. But yes, it is very important to compromise. Once again, if you have lower level units, you might need to bring Sniper Cat power up to make Crazed Bird not take too much ground. you might need to bring stuff like Bath Cat. Maybe your DPS on the boar is lacking and you just need to just burst down the boar super quick, and bringing Bath Cat can do exactly that. Maybe you don't have Swimmer, so you'll have to take the slow route and bring Hacker Cat to just chip down Crazed Bird. Maybe you have none of the key gachas at all and you'll have to use a different strategy, maybe the old strategy. But whatever strategy you do use, whatever guide you use, make sure you take apart the info you need and use it to your advantage. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Crazed Bird guide, or the Redux guide. Of course, drop a like if this guide helped you out, subscribe if you're new, join the hashtag Boogle gang. More Battle Rats videos to come soon, but yeah, this has been John Boogle, and see ya.